All right, Patrick, what's going on today besides the rain?
Well, I have a complaint to start the day with. You know how I've been bragging about the young woman who's the greatest paper deliverer in the history of mankind. I don't really care about the buyouts that are taking place at the Star Tribune right now, apparently. But we got the, I don't think that's been in the news here that this is occurring. But I apparently have lost my young woman paper delivery person for the last week. I have some moron who throws it in the driveway, even if it's raining gangbusters. The moron, it's got to be a male. It's got to be a man, right? That's doing this. The new guy we lost. So the Star Tribune, I don't know about any other employees that it's lost, but it lost that she's not an employee, but she's a freelancer.
Yeah,
But we
important.
lost her because we now have some idiot who I looked out there at 7 this morning and it was basically floating down the
Yep,
driveway. The thing
yep.
you couldn't read it with a what the hell, buddy? I know any nice day, nice dry day, throw it in the driveway. I don't care, but otherwise, get your fat ass out and walk up the sidewalk and put it on the stoop so it doesn't get wet. We have enough problems at the Star Tribune getting delivered, but a wet, soaked blob of a newspaper at 5 o'clock in the morning shouldn't be one of them. Or give up the job, pal.
Mine ends up in my front yard regardless. Like it's still there
Regardless,
right now because I won't go out and get it. It
no.
it winds up. I have seen the person deliver it, and literally they drive down the road. I would say he might slow down to maybe 20 miles per hour, and it
Yes.
flies out of the car window.
And the fact of the matter is, on your block, they're probably delivering two. My block, they used to deliver to every house. Now they
Yep.
deliver to two, maybe three down there. And they're doing everything they can to make sure nobody subscribes to the paper. And apparently the people, the powers that be will be very happy when that day comes and nobody gets the newspaper. But it's unbelievable. If it wasn't bad enough to have a Sunday sports section with 4.5 pages this week, now we have a soaking wet newspaper.
I've never finished a sports page so fast in my life on a Sunday.
It's
It was
unbelievable.
just like whoop, 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 bang.
Unbelievable. I heard we were tight for Sunday. I didn't realize it was pretty much non existent. But anyway, outside of that, I'm in a fine, cheery mood. Because I was going to go down to the softball today at Mankato, but the driving rain, so they put it back till 5 o'clock and then maybe later than that. And they were
Oh
supposed to
yeah.
start at 10 in the morning and the fields are in bad shape. But anyway, it's not going to happen. But I was looking forward to reading the piece on our softball player of the year in our top 25 softball players. Softball player of the year is a Carter Raymond, a pitcher from Little Randolph, Minnesota,
Mm.
and then the Stangl young lady from Mankato East, who I talked to yesterday. She was going to be in there too, but unfortunately, I never got to see it because it's too wet. I had to I had
Gotta
to
dry it out,
carry it.
Pat.
I had to carry it to the garbage like this, so I didn't get wet. So anyway, go get them, Star Tribune. You're really trying your best here. Let's go.
Knock it out of the
Anyway,
park.
yeah, knock it out of the park. How about our Twinkies last night? Man, alive.
Yeah,
Oakland has lost 18 out of 19.
I know.
18 out of 19. Where in the, I know they weren't going to be good, but my goodness,
They
that's
got off to
their
a good start though. That's the
yeah,
funniest
yeah,
thing.
they were. Yeah, they've lost. The Twins. Joe Ryan was having a tough time with the umpire yesterday, but he was all over the ballpark, and it looked like he was going to let him get back into the game. But Buxton comes back with 5 RBIs and looks healthy. So
Mm-hmm.
he has recovered from the concussion. Now let's keep him healthy. Let's have no maladies here for about 2 months because he's having a hell of a year. He really is. He's batting. They kept flashing the stat line. He's batting like 375 with runners in scoring position or something like that, which is, I think that's only 300 points higher than Royce, isn't it? So something
Oh,
like that. I
yeah.
mean, but yeah, Buxton, he looks good, and I gotta say, I was not too fired up about Ty France, but he's been competitive.
Yep.
He's not, he's not killing it, but he's been competitive. Did you watch the game last night?
Yes.
The real tragedy for Oakland was when they decided to walk Christian Vasquez to load the bases there in the inning where the Twins were trying to put the game away. What are you doing that for?
Well, how about
Anyway,
the fact that the A's had the bases loaded with nobody
nobody
out,
out,
down by
and
two.
and and Joe looking erratic
Yeah,
as hell.
3-0. He went 3-0, popped two
Yes,
guys up, and then got a grounder to
yeah,
Cody Clemens.
yeah, that's right. It was amazing because looked like he it looked like he might be leaving. Did they have somebody
Yeah, yeah.
warming up by then? I
He was
think they
close to
did.
getting the hook.
Yeah. How about Louis Varland as a reliever, though? I mean, in April he had a couple of glitches, but man, he just rocking and rolling
How
now.
long do we talk about that? How long
That's
did I mean?
right.
He's a wrestler. He is
Yes,
made for relief.
yes, yes, he is. And he comes in and pitches like a wrestler. That's
He
right, what
does.
they say. And yes, he is. And I think he's finally got it through his head that this whole idea that he wants to be a starter, well, so what? Doesn't make any difference if he wants to be a starter. Griffin Jacks probably wants to be a starter, but
Right.
he's a hell of a lot better reliever. So, yeah, it's that was they're obviously have cooled off now and are kind of winning one, losing one, but they that one last night looked like it might get away, and then they what's your view of the ballpark? Plouffe and Pro has made a pretty good point about the warning track that early right in the game got him off to the 4-run start right there because the left fielder
Yeah.
apparently thought he was up against the fence, but he wasn't. It landed behind him, and they got an extra long warning track out there, and the players aren't used. They're used to being a, a certain number of feet away from the fence when they hit the warning track, and apparently it's an extra 5 feet there or something like
What
that.
does it say about this sport, though? You've got two teams playing in these minor league ballparks.
Yes,
They now. I will say the lighting in Sacramento looks superior to the ones at in Tampa, but
yes.
the clubhouse is in the outfield, so you can't
Mhm.
like go. There's berms. There's no. You got two teams like this, Pat.
Yes, yes, it's brutal. The thing in Tampa is really ridiculous. How they approve that when it's going to be 100 degrees there, they're going to have nothing but rain delay. It was 100 the other day when they played there, right?
Yeah.
And this is June. This isn't July, and they're going to have rain delays. And they should have just said to Tampa, this was their opportunity to get out of that mess of a situation there and
Yes.
go negotiate with the city and say, hey, we'll give you this much money and we're leaving. So we're gonna go play in Nashville's ballpark for a couple of years and see if that works or something. I mean, it is incredible to me that baseball. I mean, the NHL has got its act together way better than
Oh yeah.
baseball does. Way
Yep.
better than baseball does.
Yep.
How could have that been deemed possible when you and I go back to a league that puts 16 out of 21 teams into the playoffs because they were so desperate to make a $5, that they put everybody in the playoffs. Then they played the they used to put like 12 in the playoffs and play 3 out of 5 in the first round, right?
Yes.
But all they wanted was playoff games, so they put 16 in there. And now you got this league that's gone to the expanded playoffs, which I don't like, but I may be the only one. And now they're playing in ballparks like that. It's the leadership of baseball is horrible. And now next year we're gonna have that stupid ball strike challenge situation. The hell, either let the computer call ball and strikes or let the umpire call ball and strikes. But this challenge thing is going to add. I know they do it quickly, but it's ridiculous. It that there's not any. If you're right, there's not any limit on them, right?
Right. Yes. So you can continue to challenge until I think you have two wrong, and then you're done.
Yeah, it's I hate it, but they think the fans like it, so it'll be in next year.
But how did baseball allow? What I don't get is this: the A's. Okay. So they want to go to Vegas eventually, but the
Yes,
ballpark is still in flux, whatever.
yes,
So there's a minimum of 3 years in
yes.
Sacramento at this
Yeah.
ballpark. Like, who, how do you approve that?
I don't know, and especially with you can't convince the Giants or somebody to not have their AAA team there. So you can basically go watch the same baseball probably for about one third the price, right? To go watch the Giants AAA
Yes.
farm club.
Yeah,
And
it's like $40 to sit on the berm.
yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. You know who was there last night though? Our buddy Kenny Cha. Kenny took the days off. Kenny just, he's a traveling man, single
Yep. He
fella.
spends more time on the West Coast than here in
Har-
SLP because he lives
Hardest,
near me.
hardest work. You know how good Kenny is? As far, he's like the key employee of the Twins, of the Star Tribune
Yep.
sports department. He went to the game 3 blowout on Saturday night and put out the paper up in the up in the top press box. Did you the press box up at
Oh,
top
the
and
hockey
the
press
Target's
box.
hockey press box, and he still put out the paper, no problem.
I'm glad he got a good enough signal.
Yes, yeah,
I
that's
was hit
what
and miss.
I was a little worried about that. He was a little worried about that too. But this guy can do like 5 things at once. It's unbelievable. He's putting out the paper. He's editing copy. He's dealing with all of us complaining and stuff. And somehow he knows what the score is of every game that's on TV and how his Badgers are doing. He's also the unique individual who is a big, he went to Wisconsin. He's a big Badgers fan, but he's also a Gophers fan, at
That's
least
not that makes no sense.
in basketball. He's a fan of both of them. I think in football, he's
Well,
a Badger fan. So,
he can drop the
yeah.
basketball part, Pat.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Gopher basketball part, he just go to the Badgers completely. It's okay.
We got we're up. I think we have hit the transfer top thing. 9. We got 9. Now I have a reliable report that the NIL money, which was 2 last year, I think they spent 2 last year, is 6 this year. But if this if the court doesn't approve this 21 million dollar thing that the teams in the major conferences can give athletes, because that hasn't been approved yet,
Mm-hmm.
then all bets are off. A lot of these NIL deals are based on that $21 million that hasn't been approved
So
yet.
that might not get approved. I thought it was a formality.
Well, they thought it was a formality, and then the judge turned it down because there are athletes complain. I don't know what the complaint certain athletes is. They're complaining, but at the
Hmm.
U, it'll cover. There's supposedly going to be 5 sports: football, both basketball, volleyball, and men's hockey.
Okay.
Women's hockey isn't getting any, but somehow I think they won the right not to have Title IX affect this. That they have the right to just give it all to the men. Basically, is what they're going to do.
And
So
football in particular, and then some
football,
basketball, probably. Yeah.
yeah. Supposedly Fleck gets 14 million of the 21 or something like that. So I see the last guy we signed on summer splash weekend. The first one yesterday, they got commitments. Didn't sign. They get commitments, and uh, we beat out Appy State for him. So I'm not sure that was. But once again, we're rated like 12th nationally in the in June, and
Right.
by the time that it's all wrapped up, we'll be rated 48th or something like that. But he
Right.
likes to sign them early, man. But he likes to get commitments early. Now they have some people bail on him, obviously, but he
Right.
likes that to get the commitments early and be rated high early on. So
And those are high school kids, though.
yeah, these are high school kids who are like,
I mean,
yeah.
high school kids are a non-factor for the most part now
Well,
because,
I think in football, they're still they
well,
are, because they're bringing in 30 people or 35
right.
people, but in basketball, it means nothing. I mean, Richard Pitino is proudly saying, "I don't care about high school seniors anymore." Now that he's gone, where'd he go again? Where is he? He's at where'd he go?
I
Where'd he
have to
go?
look.
He go?
I have to look.
There was some rumor he might get the West Virginia job, but he
No,
didn't.
yeah, he didn't get that one.
He's in the Big East, isn't he? He's in the Big East with Dad.
Yeah,
Xavier. Didn't he go to
Xavier.
Xavier?
Yep.
He's at
Yep.
Xavier.
Yep.
You think that game will be on national TV? The first
Oh, that'd
time
be fun. Yeah,
Xavier plays St. John's.
I'm glad for him. Good for him.
Oh yeah, he did. He did okay. He went down there and he won a lot of games there, and he you know the one thing. And Phil's always said this. Phil had a good relationship with him. He and Phil so often repeated this. But Dino would always say, "Why do so many people think this is a good job? You got an old dump of an arena and a fan base that I'm the average age of, and it was stunning to me a couple of times I was over there this year how old the crowd is. Man, they have
Yeah.
not. They don't have the 40-year-old businessman anymore. They not there, man. They're not. They're in trouble. We'll see if Nico can. I'm very interested to see the schedule. They haven't released the non-conference schedule yet. I'm
They're
very.
afraid of you.
I know, but if it's going to be like, Ben, that was my biggest complaint about him is, you. We don't care if you go 11-1 against these teams. We play somebody who's going to get not only St. Thomas, but the Dakotas, and somebody who's going to get 8,000 people in the arena instead
Right.
of 2,500, for goodness sakes.
Right.
That was, wins and losses. Listen, if you're going to go 6-14 in the Big Ten, it doesn't make any difference how
E-
many games you win in the non-conference schedule.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah,
so,
it makes no sense because nobody cares. Yeah, I feel like Gopher men's basketball now, and it's been this way for a while though, is where football was at in the Metrodome, which is the old crowd hung on forever.
yes, yes.
Now it's changed since they've gone outdoors, and I do think the Flex done a pretty good job
Oh
with
yeah, he
that.
has. He's, I mean,
But
he's popular. There's no doubt about it.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, you've got to get like, because Gopher basketball, the only hope, if you're going to stay in that building, the only hope is to get some youthful exuberance in it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, there's student. They call the student zoo or whatever. You're over
Yeah,
there, like 200. They're lucky if they get 200. And the guy who's got them back is Motzko. They got the goofy students back,
yep.
and that,
Well, because they all
you
bailed on
know,
basketball, I think.
huh?
I think they
Yeah,
all
yeah,
bailed on
yes.
basketball because hockey's more fun to be at.
And it's you know the big 5 years ago, everybody was in a panic over there. They had the Michigan playoff game where 1,100 people in the stands or something like that, and
No
it looked
question.
like it looked like it would be forever before they got the people back. But they've had really good teams that unfortunately failed in the clutch. But
I feel like we're back a little bit to a comparison to the Woog years because
yes,
Woog had great teams. He just didn't win a national championship.
yes, and Luger had. The one Luger lost that forever would be the Harvard game, which
Oh,
is one of the best college hockey games I've ever seen in my life. And you look back and say, "Oh, they lost to Harvard." Well, that Harvard team had about five NHLers on it. They were fantastic. and that was a tremendous game. And if he wins that game, that he didn't have to carry that burden with him
Nope.
the whole time he was there. So
Nope.
Wooger was Wooger was great though. Bob's a little more tense, I think. But anyway, well, Wooger was tense too. He just,
Yeah, I
you know what's funny?
yep.
Wooger and John Gilbert on the outs, man. They got they really got crossways at the
At the end.
yeah, for a while because I know that when I did my John, the late John, but when I did my long column on him and talked to him for like 3 hours, he had he was still anti Wooger, man. So, and how could he be anti Wooger? He's the greatest guy that ever lived. He's funnier
Yeah.
than hell, you know.
It's sort of
He's the
like when
guy
I
that he's
yep.
the guy I ran into at the Metrodome, and he introduced me. He says, "This is the guy that gave me the money to put in the hat
Oh, from
from
McAlpine.
McAlpine." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of like when I transcribed your Sid tapes for the Sid book, and Calvin Griffith and the twins were barely a blip from Sid.
Oh yeah, yeah. He
He didn't
he
like
never
Calvin.
he did not like Calvin because Calvin talked to everybody. It wasn't that Calvin wouldn't talk to Sid. It was that he didn't give Sid anything extra. You know, we could, you know, hell, the guy from the New Richland, Minnesota, Daily Weekly could come in and Calvin would BS with him just like he was anybody else. You know, he was. I always said the difference between Calvin is and Polad. When Polad came to a baseball game once in a while, the giants of corporate Minnesota would be in the booth. When Calvin was there, the rending truck driver from Lester Prairie, Swanee, was in the booth with him. Swanee, the great Swanee, was a big drinking buddy of Jimmy's. He was the rendering truck driver was in there from Lester Prairie. Swanee, who's still going strong, by the way. I think he's doing something else for work
Good for
though.
him.
And he gave up the booze too. I ran into him at Waconia's when Waconia had the state amateur baseball tournament a couple of years ago. So I ran into him. I'm not. This is. I haven't done any. I haven't looked at any town ball yet. There's too much going on, so we'll have to see what's going on. But the dummies. They they went to two class. They changed the system this year. They put a lot more teams in A because they want to get these little tiny towns. They went back to uh, Class C, but they're worried about these little tiny towns that got baseball that never get to go to the state tournament. So they're like taking towns that have been good baseball towns, putting them in Class A where they won't make the state tournament. So now you're getting towns that actually have a population who are going to get down on their town team baseball. So you got some town with 60 people in it going to the state.
Oh, okay.
They have done some really stupid things. The baseball board and this. They had a nice system going, Class A and Class B, 2 years, and they had
Yep.
great attendance. And then now they've gone back to I don't know what they're doing, but it's goofy. So anyway,
And
what
yep.
so the we it is funny. I saw you wrote a couple things on McCarthy. It's a little hard to reach conclusions here, but he's certainly the big personality, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's definitely not like an obnoxious one, but he definitely
No.
has a personality. That
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's a court. You could tell he grew up a quarterback.
hmm Is he going to be like defensive if he stinks it out in a game or not? Or
I
don't you?
don't think so, but you don't know until it happens.
And the
So
other thing is,
I don't know.
I mean, playing for Harbaugh, that shows you something about him.
No,
He's not afraid of criticism or pressure or anything like that. I'd say that, I mean, he's he he's got to like Kevin O'Connell better than he liked Harbaugh. Harbaugh was had to be impossible for a quarterback to like, right?
Yeah, I
But
think Harbaugh loved him, and so I think that
yeah,
they. But yes, as far as the demands go, I think they probably expressed their feelings about play very differently.
yes, yes, they did. But he's he's it's going to be an interesting case. What the backup that we got? Does he got any talent? Do we know anything about him?
Sam Howell,
Yeah.
I mean, it's OTA, so take it with a grain of salt. But let's just say the arm strength doesn't appear to be there.
Okay.
I
And
don't
then
know.
didn't he start like 5 or 6 games for the Common Commanders or
He
whatever
started
it is?
like a whole season for him, Pat, and he led the league in like sacks taken and picks. And I think
Oh,
he threw the most passes. I have no idea what the. I think the Commanders were trying to suck, but it's inexplicable, like why you would let this guy throw that amount of passes.
and then he was the backup, the third stringer where last year?
Seattle. He was in
Seattle.
Seattle last year.
Okay, and they lost Gino, and now who'd they bring in? I can't remember who
Sam
they.
Darnold.
Oh, that's right. They got
So
our guy
they
Sam.
went with Darnold,
Sam.
and Howell was the backup there. But then Seattle acquired another a backup, so Howell was the third guy. So that's when they traded him here during the draft.
Okay. Well, just so we so Kirky has Kirky showed up yet then?
I don't think
Down
so. I
there
think their mandatory minicamp is next week. If he
right?
doesn't show
Okay.
up for that, he'll be fined. But these
Okay.
aren't these are not obligatory to go to the OTAs.
So what is he hoping that the Steelers will take him instead of Rodgers or
I
what?
guess, but Rogers still hasn't signed there, and their camp is next week.
Yeah. And
So
he's just playing hard to get, or does he still trying to decide whether he wants to play or not, or is he down in Honduras smoking whatever that is he smokes?
I got no idea. I got no idea. My
They
only
don't have
fear.
any idea either. I would think Tomlin is not can't be liking this too well, right?
No,
Doesn't he? He likes. I mean, he's been around forever. He likes stability, doesn't he? What's his option if they don't get Rodgers?
try trade for Kirk.
But I mean, who do they have to play?
Oh, Mason Rudolph.
Oh, yeah, who they got?
They got
Who
rid of him before.
got rid of him, and
So,
now they brought him back.
yeah, yeah. That's not really a great option.
No, and it is incredible that uh, the quarterback is the has become for some reason become the key to everything more than ever. You don't,
Oh God, yeah.
it's now it's everything depends on the quarterback. So
Yep.
how can you be functioning at this time of year without knowing who's you're going to be? Rogers, you really. I mean, Pittsburgh looks old and bad, and they look like they're past. They absolutely stunk at the end of last year. I what do they want to tie their wagon to him for? I don't get it.
I don't know, but I'm afraid that Rogers is sitting and waiting and hoping McCarthy struggles. That's what I think's happening.
Really?
Oh,
No?
he's a manipulator. Yeah, no
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
I think he might
yeah,
retire
yeah. He
too,
wouldn't
but
mind. He probably wouldn't mind coming in week 8 and
and
working
missing
out.
everything. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right. Do the did Brett? Maybe he's the Brett.
That's what I'm saying.
He's using the Brett model, right?
That's what I'm saying. He's lived out his life as much as he detested Brett. He's lived out his life as a quarterback so far, trying to do what Brett did.
Yes.
So I don't trust him. I don't trust him to just sit there and wait. And if McCarthy gets hurt or struggles, O'Connell panics and calls him. So
Did you
that worries me.
watch the entire Rogers documentary? What was it? 5 episodes or
Yes,
whatever it
I,
was.
I watched the entire thing.
I thought that it was obvious that he controlled the narrative, right? He
Yes.
controlled everything. I mean, he has. It wasn't like a objective,
No.
but the most interesting thing to me
Mm-hmm.
was when he went down to visit Brett in what 19 or something. Was it
Yep.
2019?
Yep.
And they had tape of that, and Brett was trying to convince him that he was supportive of him, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and Rogers just kind of shrugged that off, like, well,
BS is what he was
yeah,
thinking. And Brett's like,
yeah,
I,
okay,
I thought I was real supportive.
And then when they were walking down by the lake down there, they had a little. He basically, was there was a little honesty going on there, but it's
Yeah.
how who videotaped that? Who was that for? I mean, how did they get that videotape?
I don't
That's
know.
what I want to know.
I don't know, but there must have been I mean, I think Rogers was there because they're both narcissists. I
Oh
think
yeah.
Aaron was there for it to be taped. I don't think it was oh, I'm going to see him and now a video guy is here. I think it was probably, both of them thought, oh, and because they're both trying to spin their own stories too. Because,
What?
like you said, Brett's like,
Yeah.
I thought I was pretty good. And then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Aaron's
What
like,
years
no.
were you over there?
Oh, 3 and 04.
Oh,
And then I covered
so
the Aaron Rodgers draft, which was spring
okay.
of '05.
Oh five. Okay, but you weren't for the we 0304 are so 0304 today was it one good year, one bad year, or were they
They went to
what?
the playoffs both years. They got off to bad starts both years. '03, they went to the NFC divisional round and lost to Philadelphia on the 4th and 26th. And
Oh yeah.
then '04, they got bounced by the Vikings. And then they drafted Aaron in the '05 draft.
Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah. It's you weren't there for the drama of them of
no,
how Brett was.
no, no. I
But the
thankfully
all
missed him.
time, I mean, the all time thing on that is that Brett retires, and then I mean, and then Rogers is hung out to dry, right?
Yeah,
Because Brett wants to come back, and you just wonder how much of that was pre-planned. I mean, is the mercurial personality of Brett? I'm sure that I think when your personality is that high that you probably have some depressed moments, and that's
sure.
I think that was his first retirement, right? He just
Yeah,
was feeling bad and depressed, and so he said, "Ah, I'm quitting," because he was getting a little criticism, right,
yeah.
for the way they
Yeah,
played.
he
So
felt sorry for himself for sure.
yeah,
For
it
sure.
is. I don't think we're ever going to be lucky enough to have a couple of guys like that around here, though, to play off. Well, we had Brett for our 2 years, and that was the first year was great, and the
The second year was
second year,
horrendous.
second year was a disaster.
All
So
right, sir. Sell me a
uh,
car before we're done.
I want to. I want to. You want? It's a good time to be driving around in a nice SUV from the Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers out in this swamp that we have out here in Minnesota and in Minneapolis and all through the state of Minnesota. Listen, right now, real good prices, real good inventory, low interest rates, high factory rebates. The Buick SUVs, they got a great line of SUVs. If you've been watching sports, you've been seeing those Buick SUVs of various sizes. But right now, the inventory is tremendous in Apple Valley at Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group. They also have financial people, veteran financial people who will make it happen for you. You go out there and pick out the car, you pick out the SUV you want. They'll make you a deal, and you won't be able to say no because they'll make you a great deal at Jim Paul and Brett Paul Valley Group of GM dealers. And look up the inventory on their website in Apple Valley, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Outstanding, Patrick. Talk to you on Wednesday.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.